sent them to I think all of us over the weekend. What we can do is I can put them on official letterhead and reformat it, just take a look at it one more time. And what I'd like to do is just set up a meeting, a whole separate meeting after we finalize the recommendations tomorrow night, just to approve the minutes and get us in a good spot going into next year. Does that work for you?
All right, so the only thing I noticed was on August 25th with the power message board, the request was for $19,000 and the recommendation was for $19,000, but it's probably just a typo. It's for 22,000.
Is this in the minutes, you mean?
Yes, in those draft minutes.
All right, I'll keep a lookout for that.
Okay, and then also besides Rick Mattson, Drew Hand was involved in the meeting too, right?
Okay. All right.
Okay, and that's all I saw with those.
All right. I don't know if you formally call the meeting to order, Ed. You want to do that, and we can get meeting get started too.
I can do that. So we will call the meeting to order at 6:03. And is there any report that you want to give us besides what you sent us out in the email?
Yeah, why don't I tee things up a little bit, and I can introduce the departments that are with us tonight. So I sent you all an email, but just for the public's sake, I sent over a revised capital packet for tonight. If I can just share my screen, just bear with me for a moment. So we have the capital summary. So there's been a revision to this. We were just talking about it a moment ago, that the fire department was awarded a grant in the amount of $545,000. Which will offset the cost of the engines that were requested. So I'm sure Chief Bailey will get into that in a moment, but I do want to just bring to your attention that the town administrator's recommendation has been reduced from the from the $1,320,000 to the $775,000, and that difference is that $545,000. Additionally, there was a change to your 5-year capital plan. Just scrolling down, I received the 5-year plan from the school department today. They're, of course, scheduled to meet with your committee tomorrow. So you'll see that those values have all been entered in the 5-year plan. And then finally, the schedule, the town administrator released the finance committee schedule for this upcoming fall. I know, Ed, you mentioned that the Thursday, September 9th may or may not work for you. So depending on, I guess, your availability.
I'll make it work.
You make it work? Okay. As I say, it's tentatively scheduled, but now that I know, you'll make it work. What I normally do is I just post a notice saying members of the capital budget committee will be in attendance in case more than a quorum or more decides to attend the finance committee's meeting next week. So that way you're covered. So other than that, we've got public safety departments on tonight. Meeting with us this evening is interim chief of police Rich Kelleher, fire chief Tim Bailey, and deputy fire chief Paul Berry. So I think I have the fire department on tonight. So we'll just start off with you, Chief Bailey, or deputy, if you want to take things off. And the way I do it, I'll just keep it up on the screen. We'll go to your department. You can run through your request that way.
Great, thank you, Patrick. Thank you, members of the committee. For those that don't know me, I'm Chief Bailey. So the first thing we have on there is we applied for a grant several months ago, which is called an AFG grant, Assistance to Firefighters Grant, and we were just notified last Friday that we have been awarded $545,000. So I'd like to just commend Deputy Chief Barry, who wrote this grant and did all the background work for it. He did a fantastic job, and this puts us almost to the full truck. The equipment's another thing that we're taking care of differently. So, but through our budgetary process. But this is a big plus. So that is, as Patrick mentioned, it did reduce that number from the $1,320,000. So what we have is we have 2 engines that need replacing. One is a 1999, that is engine 5. That truck currently has 74,000 miles on it. We've put 74,000 into it. It's still a secondary piece that we utilize when the frontline piece is down. One of the things with both of these trucks that we're looking to replace is they're the only two trucks that actually fit into Station 2, which is our East Walpole station. The other truck, which is a 2009, which is the newest of the two, we've put $121,000 into it already on some major repairs. It's falling apart. It's got 84,821 miles on it. That is currently the piece that's first due out of Station 2. And those are the two trucks that we're looking to replace. I can entertain any questions you may have with regards to either one of them. Okay.
Sorry, Chief. I just got one question. What happens with the old fire trucks when they're done? Do they get repurposed or like donated or something, or what happens with the old ones? Are they just scrapped?
So usually we don't get anything in return for them. There is no trade-in value for them. We have tried recently, our old engine 4, we sold to the city of New Bedford. They needed a truck quickly, and we were able to sell that truck to them. But normally we just trade them in for little or no value at all, or in some cases they go to scrap.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And just a note about the difference in age of the two vehicles. I mean,
Yes.
12 years versus 22. I mean, safe to say that 12-year vehicle was a disappointment and is kind of got to its end of life a lot sooner than expected, or is that more, which one is more typical of an average life that you get out of the engines?
Well, that's a good question. So one of the things that, as you can see, the mileages are very high on there, and the engine hours are actually higher. The reason for that is our call volume has increased tenfold from where we were when we bought some of these trucks back, especially back in '99. Back then, we were lucky to crack 3,000 runs. This year, we're currently on pace to have 4,500 runs. So our call volume has gone up. The distance between of how the districts are set up. So the town is split up into two districts, with District 1 being the center station, District 2 being the East Walpole station. And they basically run down Washington Street and down Main Street for the two stations. And then we fill in between. There are lines of delineation in between that correspond with that. So because of all the increase in call volume, some of our runs are longer than they have been in the past. The biggest issue with the 2009 is that was the year, one of the very first trucks that we got with the vehicle emissions system. And we've had nothing but problems with that emission system since we've gotten it. And the truck has been down on numerous occasions because it doesn't regen the way it's supposed to. So because it doesn't regen, it gets all plugged up with carbon, and then basically we have to replace everything inside of it. Each time we do that, the cost has gone up exponentially, and it just continues. We just had another major repair done to that for $14,000 for just that issue alone. So that is why I would recommend that the 09 go first. And then talking to administration about the cost of the vehicles and how much they're going up from year to year. That's when I had asked about the possibility of doing two at once. We applied for the grant. Speaking with administration, we were able to make that possibility a possibility, and that's where we're at today. That's why we're presenting both trucks at the same time, as opposed to one now and one 2 years from now. The manufacturers keep getting hit with costs from everything from equipment that's not able to get, to surcharges, to and the normal cost of a 5% or 2 to 5% increase on a year. Sometimes we're getting hit with 2 or 3 of those in a year. The manufacturer is. So, and those just get passed on to us. So that's why we're at where we're at with asking for 2 trucks.
Yeah, and actually, Ed, if I could just address that also. So Chief, remind me, I think the manufacturer had estimated an increase of about $70,000 a year. So I think
correct.
moving this up, this was, the second engine was originally planned further in the capital improvement plan. We estimated by moving it up the 2 years, saving ourselves about $140,000. So that was kind of the thought process behind that.
Correct.
Thank you.
Chief, I'm curious, to what do you attribute the exponential rise in calls?
The town has grown. We've had an awful lot of new growth in the last 3 years. And some of the other things that take and have increased in calls is our medical calls, our mental health calls. Just a lot of everything, to be honest with you. Weather impacts, a lot of major storms that have also impacted our call volume. We've had several days where we've had 30 plus calls in a day. So it's just a changing environment. And it has been, and when we show the trends of the tracking over the last 30 years, you can see that in tracking.
Interesting. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Chief, I have a question.
Yes.
In the packet that we received, there's also a request for a fire truck replacement in the 23-24 year timeframe of a 25-year-old truck. Is this in addition to the ones that we're looking at today, or did you accelerate that request into this one?
We accelerated that into
Okay.
this one.
So that would go away. Awesome. Thank you.
That is correct.
Thank you.
Any other questions about the engines? And if not, I just want to echo the chief's comments about the grant and the work that Deputy Barry did for this. This is an outstanding job, right in the nick of time too, Deputy. So nice work, Deputy Barry.
Yes.
So no other questions on that, we'll just move right on.
So up number 2 is the replacement of the UPS batteries, which is the battery backup system. So when the new station was built, we had a battery backup system that was put into the station to back up all of our stuff, for lack of a better word, all of our electronics, all of our radios, all of our reporting software. Everything goes through one thing, and that has a 5-year life on it. And we're in our 3rd year. That system was put in as we were developing and building the new station, and that needs to be replaced this year. So that's what that request is for.
Any questions about that?
Good.
All right, moving on.
The 3rd item on the list is our thermal imaging cameras. Most of our thermal imaging cameras are 20 years old or older. This is a critical piece of equipment that we use on all of our calls. It is for detecting heat and all of our fire calls. We use it for light ballasts. We use it for checking for heat behind a wall. We use it in structure fires for locating victims. And we're looking to replace those cameras and add a few others to our inventory for pieces that don't currently have it, now that we're operating out of 2 stations.
So how many would that be, Tim? How many are we replacing and how many adding?
We're replacing 5 and hoping to add 1 additional.
Thank you.
Tim, would you go over how old these cameras are?
They're approximately 20 years old.
Thank you.
You're all the same age, you were bought at the same time? back then?
No, they've been bought at different times.
Anything else?
Technology has increased substantially too since then, so.
Yes, it has. They're much more finite.
Yep.
The next the item that I had on the list is turnout gear and equipment. This is to outfit all of our personnel. We have 5 new personnel coming on board, and we still have several members that are missing their second set of turnout gear. And that's this funding would take care of that. Excuse me.
So how many would that be total, Tim, you think?
It'd be 20 sets of turnout gear. For a second set, that there's roughly half the department that doesn't have the second set currently. And it would outfit the other 5 members fully with all of the equipment that they're needed to have when they come on board.
Would that be 2 sets for each one of them?
It'd be 2 sets for each one of the 5, correct? As well as their boots, helmet, which everyone else already has those. And their the radios is a separate line item, but that's what that encompasses.
Okay. Any other questions? Next,
And the last item I have is the portable, there's 2 items left. The portable radios. Again, all of our personnel have radios. Some of the newer folks that we've hired in the last year do not have radios. There's 3 of those, and then we have the 5 additional new hires that we just hired that will also need portable radios.
so would this be 8 altogether?
There's 8, and then there's the total is 13. We need portable radios on some of the frontline apparatus that do not have it, and that would take care of that as well. It's a total of 13.
Any questions on that? Nope. Next,
And the last item that I have is the replacement of our pickup truck. It would be with an F-150 extended cab pickup truck, which we would get off the state bid list. This would be to replace the 1991 pickup truck that we currently have that is really, shouldn't be on the road. It's kind of all over the place. So we utilize this truck for everything from structure fires to rehab, to the mechanic uses it. We use it going back and forth to the academy. It's a multi-purpose, multi-use vehicle that we would utilize it for. It would be very similar to the one that the police department currently runs.
and so this would just be a replacement, so that's good. Okay,
That is correct.
Yeah.
The one that we have was a hand-me-down from the DPW years ago. We made it work. We had it painted it up, and it's just not holding it up very well. It's tired.
okay. 20 years, I think we got our money's worth out of that probably, right?
I would say so.
Okay. Any other questions for Tim? No? No, I guess you're off.
All right, great, thank you. I'll be here for the rest of the meeting if you have anything that comes up at the end.
All right, thanks, Tim.
You're welcome.
All right, thanks, Chief. And Mr. Chairman, just want to introduce Interim Chief of Police, Rich Kelleher, who can talk about the police department's requests. I can just pull those up too. All right, Chief.
Thank you, Patrick. Thank you all for having me here tonight. The first request is for a marked police cruiser. This cruiser will be used to increase our fleet by 1 cruiser. Right now, we have 10 marked cruisers and 10 unmarked, and we're looking to increase by 1. The reason is we have a strategic plan to grow our department to close to 50 officers, or 250 officers in the next 5 years. Next year, we'll be authorized to have 47 officers, and with an increasing staff, we'd like to increase the infrastructure to go with that. So we're looking to get a new cruiser to be a line car. These cruisers are specially outfitted for patrol. They have cages in them to separate the people that we're dealing with from the officers and safely transport them to the station. So it's really not feasible for us to use a marked cruiser for that function. So we're looking to increase with one marked cruiser. We also have, we could have upwards of 5 officers working on a shift. And right now we have our school resource officers using one of our cruisers with the school resource, the community dog. And the juvenile detective was using a marked cruiser as well because we didn't have enough for them. So that takes away from the number of cars that would be on the road at a given time. And then with various breakdowns, which do happen on maintenance, we could be short some cars. Also with the upcoming Route 1A project that's been going on, it's could require some cruisers to be on details. And it would be nice for us to keep an older cruiser instead of trading one in this time around, keep an older cruiser for that function so that we wouldn't have a newer car idling roadside, which would be a little less wear and tear on a marked car, and keep the safer cruisers to be used for day-to-day patrol. The cruiser we like to keep as an older car is a 2017 Ford Interceptor. It's got roughly 80,000 miles on it, but it's in good shape. We're trading in an older one now that's really should go, but the one we like to keep is safe. It's just a little older, so we like to keep that for a spare car for the purposes of details, or if we need officers to go to training, etc. The good news is the car we're looking for is a 2021 Ford Interceptor, and it's actually a hybrid model. And we actually have a hybrid on order right now, which will be a replacement. So I've driven it myself. I actually like it, and you really can't tell the difference. And if it's energy efficient and a little more green, we're all for that as well. The cost of this car is $62,685. That includes all the equipment and a new radio, but we will be able to transfer over the mobile data terminal, which is our computer, from the older car. So we'll save on that, and it'll be like roughly about $1,000 for a transfer. So that's where that extra $1,000 comes from. So that's the first request. If anybody has any questions, I'll be more than happy to entertain them.
I noticed this is from Jagman Ford. Are they one of the dealers that is on the state bid list?
Yes, they are. Yes.
So their quote was $57,900, but the rest is for lights and that.
Correct. Yeah. So the $57,900. I'll just pull this up. That does take into account the lighting, the lettering, the push bumper on the front, and all the other emergency equipment. The additional stuff, the $125 will be a radio install, and the other $3,600 will be for a new radio system for that car, because we want to keep the radio in the older car so we can use it as needed. So that's the difference in the price from Jack Madden to everything else.
What about the car you're trading in? Can anything taken off that?
So this time around, we'd like to keep an older cruiser.
Okay, I thought there was 2 cruisers that.
Oh, no, just one on this request.
Okay, all right, okay, no, all right, I take that question back then. Anything else?
Nope.
Good, next.
The second request I have is for 5 portable AEDs, which we have 18 of them for the department. They're carried in every cruiser, and they're always ready to go. Years ago, we had purchased them all at once. It was a large number. It was roughly $25,000. We purchased those back in 2017. So we're on a maintenance program now to replace 5 every year. So that would be part of that program. We will take the 5 older ones, replace them with 5 new ones. So that way we always have new functioning, ready to go automatic external defibrillators. So if they're needed to be used in an emergency, there's no issues. So that's part of our regular maintenance every year that we're trying to keep up with. So we have just new equipment.
Any questions? Nope, I guess we're good.
All right. And finally, the third request is to replace our police mountain bikes. Currently, we have 6 mountain bikes. They're over 10 years old. I've actually ridden them myself, and I think they're getting past their usable life. We use them quite often. We actually have 20 officers that are specially trained to ride the bike. And as we get more officers, we're training more officers. So it's good to have everybody involved in these specialized units. We use these bikes to patrol areas that aren't accessible by cruisers, the Bird Park area for community policing purposes, the town forest, in other areas that just aren't quite as accessible for a cruiser. We also use them for special events, like the night before the 4th fireworks. We have them out on patrol. The Santa Parade and all the various parades that are in the center of town, in road races, et cetera, we deploy them quite regularly. We also are part of a group called COBRA, which stands for Cops on Bikes Regional Assistance, and that's through the Boston Police Department. So we have officers that are trained in crowd control that have actually responded to assist the BPD in various demonstrations or large-scale events that they require some assistance. So we've used them for that as well. Most importantly, is that these bikes are far more accessible to the public than the police cruiser is. We're more approachable. People feel like they're more comfortable coming talking to us. We can interact with the public far more easily outside of a cruiser. So we like to deploy these bikes in specialty purposes, but also on a regular basis for community policing purposes. And obviously our agency is community oriented, community focused, and it's a large part of what we do is utilizing these bikes. So we like to replace what we have. So that way the officers have quality equipment to ride, and that's not going to break down while they're out on the road. The bicycles we're looking to purchase are Trek hybrid bikes. They're be utilized on and off road. Right now we have more off-road bikes. They work well. They have worked well, but like I said, they're past their usable life. So we'd like to replace them with more of a street-friendly bike, which is our primarily application. They'll be equipped with a bag on the back, which we keep some medical supplies, as well as our positive tickets and various bracelets and things that we hand out to the kids. So we'll have that'll be equipped on the back of the bike, and there'll be some lettering as well, and that'll be included in the price that was listed, which is $10,600 for 6 new bicycles.
Chief,
Yes.
I was really surprised that it's been 10 years since we got these bikes. It seemed like it was just a few years back.
Yeah.
Are you going to be keeping the existing bikes for spares, or are you completely removing them?
We would like to completely remove them to see what maybe we can get something on a trade-in. I'm not certain how much we'll get, but the plan was to replace them outright.
Good.
And just to get the more quality equipment. The chains come off, it gets a bit dicey when you're out in the middle of town, so we're trying to keep that from happening.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You said 6 bikes, Chief?
Yes, sir. Yep, 6 bikes.
Any other questions? No? Are we good, Patrick? You're on mute.
Sorry, took me a second I'm on that share screen mode, so I couldn't find it. Yeah, other than that, I think that's it for tonight. I want to thank both police and fire departments for their presentations tonight. But yeah, that's it for tonight. And then tomorrow night, we're meeting with the school department. They'll go over their list of requests. I think they get some folks coming from the school committee here. I'll stop sharing my screen so we can see each other. Some people coming from the school committee and building maintenance division. I mentioned that they're a division within Department of Public Works, but a lot of his requests involve the school department, so it just made sense to pair them up. And then we'll go through each of these one at a time. So yeah, I think relatively light night tonight. So we'll see everybody tomorrow night at 6 p.m.
Patrick, one thing is, about the retirement, the $50,000 for the study and the retirement there.
Yeah.
Now, I know there was some lawyers that had said it was illegal to do that. Did we have a written statement on that or anything?
Yeah, we get a few legal opinions that I think were circulated either during the Springtown meeting, and I think the Fall Town meeting before that. I can take those up in preparation for the meeting tomorrow night. I know that those were shared with the finance committee, so I think they were within the public domain. So I would be very happy to dig those up and share them with your committee.
I think that'd be important before we took our votes tomorrow night.
Of course.
Anybody else need any other information maybe for tomorrow night?
No, we did have that information at FinCom, and when the people came forward on their personal petitions and stuff, there was contention about it, which is why the FinCom requested to have the attorney's input on it. So there's plenty of information there.
Okay. Great.
Actually, while we're talking about tomorrow night, if it's okay with you, let me just pull up my schedule. So I've asked pretty much all the department heads who have presented with you over the last week and a half or so to be generally available. But if it's okay with you, I just want to check to see if there's any, if there are some departments that you don't have any questions or issues with. I just wanted to know that so I can kind of let them know that they don't need to jump on. So if it's okay with you, do you mind if we just go through the capital list? We can just take a look at department by department.
Yep.
Just pull up my sheet. Hold on. Actually, you know what? I think probably the best way to do it is if I go this.
If we just look at the agenda, Patrick, and you think that would,
Yeah, just one sec. Sorry.
While you're working on that, could I just ask a quick question about how that process works? Like, are we going to be voting on each specific line item individually, or is it grouped in some way? Like, how does it actually work when we're
Yeah,
voting?
Justin, that's exactly right. So what we usually do is we just go through down the line. So like in the instance of, can you see my screen in
Yep.
front of you? So we'll go one at a time. So Allen Dam permitting peer review. You know, the department requested $60,000. The town administrator recommends $60,000, and then it's up to on this matter, it's up to the members of the capital budget committee to make a motion with the recommendation, and then there's a vote on the recommendation. So I've actually got another spreadsheet that I've got set up that, you know, removes this column. So it'll be motion, who makes the second, and what the capital budget committee recommendation is, and then what the vote is. And then, you know, we tally that up, and maybe the Article 6, for instance, total bottom line is different from what the town administrator recommended or what the department cost request is, but that number that'll be here will be what's given to the finance committee. And then, you know, Ed, as chairperson of the finance committee, gives an update to the finance committee next week, and then the finance committee will give you know, they'll give their recommendations for each article also. So it is truthfully, it is kind of a long process. There's a lot of items on the capital budget agenda, but it gives an opportunity for members, if there's a disagreement about a certain request, to get into that individually.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, Justin, we do each one individually, and then we'd vote on the article total at the end. So each article would have a separate vote.
So actually, why don't I just go to the schedule for a sec? I think the schedule. So I don't know if there's any departments here where folks know that they're going to have some questions, or if you want to let me know by, let's say, 10 a.m. tomorrow morning, if there's specific questions you're going to have for certain departments. But again, for instance, like the rec department and the 300th anniversary committee, if there's no questions for them, I can just tell them, you know, you guys are all set for the night.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
I'd like to have more information about that retirement
Okay.
request.
Yeah, I think.
I just feel like we may be, I'd like to understand if there's another process to follow, like working with the Norfolk County Retirement Board before we decide to pull out. You know, what has taken place up until this point, if anything.
Good job, Noreen.
It was Cheryl.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Sorry.
Good job.
It's
I
okay.
didn't see your face.
It's okay.
Still a good question.
I mean, it's a lot of money for just a study, and if the attorneys say no, then
Yeah.
I'm definitely not in favor of it. I mean, why would we even pursue it? And it almost seems like, if anything, you don't have enough information about it to move forward. So that's why I would like to see what the attorneys say, and if would they be town councils, Patrick? Is that town council or?
Yeah, I think what I could probably just circulate those legal opinions. So she was pretty specific in her legal opinion last time around. So I think what I'll do is I'll circulate a memo to the Capital Budget Committee tomorrow with that as a backup document, so you can take a look at what she had to say about it last time. Yep.
And within the, structure, what kind of communications or petition or working groups, have we explored any of that? If there are folks that in our town concerned about the performance of the fund, maybe there's ways to improve how things are working. Have we worked with the bodies that are in charge to address those issues or concerns?
Okay.
For
Any
a
other?
little, for a little insight on that, Cheryl, on the FinCom, we requested, and I believe it's been granted, that come this fall, the Norfolk County Retirement Board will be coming to Walpole. I don't know if it's cemented yet. There's been definite concern and interest to have them come out, as they represent so many communities,
Mhm.
and have the other communities also present there. And what they did under the previous administration, when I attended that meeting, was all of the communities were represented. They asked, the retirement board did their presentation, and then it went into a question and answer
Mhm.
session, which was very, very informative. So that's what we're looking forward to. We found, after speaking as a member of the FinCom, we found that after seeking legal counsel, that there was no way in good conscience we could automatically go that route when our own attorney is saying that's not the way to go.
Yeah.
And the reasons, the whys and the wherefores, why you could not go that way. So I think to have this board have the insight of what our town attorneys have previously decided, I think it's very important for you to be able to share that information and then make your decision from there.
Thank you. Thanks for that.
Actually, Patrick, I may have another question too that you can maybe find out ahead of time is, on the town hall generator under building maintenance, it was requested for 275,000. It's only recommended for 150,000.
Yeah, so we have other capital that is available from another project that has come in under budget. So we were planning to offset the remaining cost of that generator with the remaining capital budget available balance. So Donnie's he'll talk about it when he's on tomorrow.
Oh,
He's-
okay.
He'll
Jumping the gun, I'm sorry.
Yep. No worries. So he's he'll have the budget that he needs to get that project done.
Okay.
All right. Any other departments? Actually, if I can just take a look. So finance department, anything? Jody was the one. She had the switches. The Munis upgrade and IT. He had the switches. Any questions that will be up tomorrow that you think that need to have them on for?
I don't think so. I mean, the switches
No.
will take care of the whole town.
Yep,
right? The
exactly.
schools had done theirs, so this would be the rest of the municipal buildings, and
Exactly.
it would be up. So I don't see any problem with that. Anybody else?
I agree with you.
Okay. Recreation and the 300th anniversary committee. Any questions on that? If you remember, I know he had some pool supplies and he was going to do a strategic plan, and there's the request for the 300th anniversary committee. Any questions on those, you think?
I'm good with that.
All right. Economic development, he was looking for the downtown signs for parking and for the Bay Circuit Trail. Any questions on that, you think?
No, not me.
Okay. And then as far as DPW goes, engineering, he had several items on there, big ticket items. I think for town engineer Carl Baldoff.
No, don't think so.
Okay. And then highway department, actually last week I sent over a revised memo in the street light conversion. So I know there were some questions on that. I don't know if that helped clarify anything or if there's any outstanding questions we can get Drew hand on if you want But if not, I can tell him no need for him to join tomorrow night.
No, I think we're good. I am. Everybody else? Good?
I agree with you.
Parks and or vehicles? No? Okay, and sewer and water. All right, that's fine. And then if, you know, you get both chiefs on here tonight, so I'm assuming there's no outstanding questions. So I guess if you guys have any questions, last minute questions, if you want any department head in particular to jump on, if you just let me know by 10 a.m. tomorrow morning, so I can just give them a heads up. Otherwise, we'll see you tomorrow night at 6 p.m.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Thanks,
All right.
everyone.
Thank
Good night, all. Thanks.
Thank you.
Good night.
Night.
Thanks, everyone.